If Eazy-E was still alive today, rap would be very different. That's how important the godfather of gangster rap was. And while many always believed that Eazy-E died from AIDS that he contracted sexually, some people seem to be forgetting that Suge Knight, Eazy's sworn enemy, literally admitted to killing him in the disturbing interview he had on Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2003.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
The Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
If you don't remember this interview, then get ready, because in this video, I'm about to show you what Suge meant and why he may have been the one who killed Eazy-E and may have been the man who single-handedly destroyed rap forever. It's your real life. 2003 was a very different time in the United States and the world. The final entry in the Lord of the Rings series was released. 7-time Mr. Olympia champion Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected as governor of California. Saddam Hussein was captured by the United States forces. And it was also the year Jimmy Kimmel kickstarted his late-night talk show. 2 decades ago at the time, Jimmy Kimmel had a much different show than what he has today. When the show premiered, it boasted an open bar for the audience and guests, and a brighter studio, unlike the dark blackened studio he performs in today. He also gave off a more casual look and feel, as he didn't wear a suit and tie, unlike other late-night shows. Just about 2 months after the show premiered, in one of the most infamous and darkest episodes of late-night television, Kimmel's guest was none other than CEO and co-founder of gangster rap record label Suge Knight. This was the first time Suge Knight was making a televised appearance after he got out of jail just a few months prior. The reason he was incarcerated was because of a federal case in 1995. Knight was arrested for assaulting 2 rappers in the summer of 1992 at a Hollywood recording studio. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 5 years probation. Then the following year in 1996, Suge Knight violated his probation when he and his death row entourage, including Tupac Shakur, attacked a Crips gang member. Suge Knight was then sentenced to 9 years in prison in 1997 for the probation violation, but was granted early release and was let out of FCI Sheridan in 2001. As the original gangster he is, doing time in prison did not faze him. In his first public appearance after his jail term, he was back to stirring the pot and causing trouble. Suge Knight got onto the stage smoking a Cuban sugar, towering over Jimmy Kimmel as he shook and hugged him. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Suge Knight noticed and mocked the fact that Jimmy wore a bulletproof vest.
Man, I love your show. I like what you're doing. Really.
Thank you.
Right? That's why I came here. Fresh out of jail, I'll come check you out, right?
Right.
Why the bulletproof vest?
Oh, it's not. Oh, no, that's just, it's the new style. You've been in the can for a while. That's what everybody, that's what all the talk show hosts are wearing.
He went on to say how using a gun was a stupid way to kill someone.
Technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they call, they get blood from somebody with AIDS.
Yeah.
And then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
well, that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
The Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
After uttering this seemingly incriminating statement, Suge Knight casually lays back and takes a puff of his expensive Cuban cigar, almost as if he was silently reminiscing about his past murder of Eazy-E. When someone has no problem hinting or insinuating something in public calmly and unaffected, people have to realize that's the main way someone like him tries to play mind games with people, because no one would ever believe he would hint at something like this on live television and be true. It's either an admission of guilt or some form of an agenda to confuse people. But Suge Knight was the only one in the entire studio who was relaxed at that moment. His comment was met with genuine shock and disbelief on Jimmy Kimmel's face. Kimmel put his head in his hands, trying to process what Suge Knight just said and what Knight may have admitted to on his live show. The audience jeered, cringed, groaned, and seemed uncomfortable as well as shocked by Knight's comment. Being the comedian that he is, the late-night talk show host played the comment off with a one-liner about the terror level going up a notch after Knight's mention of the gangster rap pioneer.
The Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
Way to lighten the mood.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Suge's terror alert level just went from elevated to high.
Although the crowd was laughing, they couldn't still believe what they just heard. They just heard a man on live television confess to a murder. The whole exchange was honestly haunting to watch, almost like the devil on a talk show having fun and talking about killing people. Now that Suge publicly admitted to injecting Eazy-E with AIDS, let's take a look at the final years of Eazy-E and how he battled with the disease. On the 24th of February, Eazy-E was admitted to the intensive care unit at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles with what was described as a very violent cough. Eazy-E had been sick for some time, but he believed he was suffering from asthma, which runs in his family. Doctors decided to run some tests and concluded he was HIV positive and did not have long to live. On March 16th, he issued a bold statement, the most important of his life, through his lawyer, Ron Sweeney. The heartfelt statement read as follows: "I may not seem like a guy you'd pick to preach a sermon, but now I feel it's time to testify, because I do have folks that care about me hearing all kinds of stories about what's up." He continued, "I've got thousands and thousands of young fans that have to learn what's real when it comes to AIDS. Like the others before me, I would like to turn my problem into something good that will reach out to all my homeboys and their kin, because I want to save their asses before it's too late." Over the next few days, he began to reconcile with his close homies and former NWA associates such as Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. Just 2 years after forming the group, Ice Cube left in December 1989. He decided to leave due to his dissatisfaction concerning the distribution of finances within the group. Ice Cube wanted the extra royalties he felt he deserved because he had ostensibly written most of Straight Outta Compton, as well as a major portion of Eazy-E's 1988 solo album, Eazy Does It, and he took his grievance to Jerry Heller, the group's manager. Heller disregarded Ice Cube's demands, eventually leading to his departure from the group. Over this period, Heller seemed to play favoritism with Eazy-E. Ice Cube quickly set about working on his first solo album, the 1990s America's Most Wanted, as the other members of NWA worked on their 1990 EP 100 Miles and Running. Matters escalated when the title track from the EP contained direct jabs at former member Ice Cube. The lyrics read, "We started with 5, but yo, one couldn't take it. So now it's 4 cause the 5th couldn't make it." Ice Cube's feud with Heller began to carry over to the members of his old group, and Eazy-E in particular, due to his closeness with Heller. And in 1991, NWA disbanded following fragmented relations within the group, as Eazy-E began to grow apart from Dr. Dre as well. The two split up and set about dissing each other in their respective solo material during the early 1990s. In the period leading up to Eazy-E's death, the feuding trio had seemingly managed to patch up their differences in the short period while Eazy-E was on his deathbed. In a 2015 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Ice Cube recalled, "I had met with Eazy a few months before he died, and we had talked about getting back together, and at the time our feud had died down, and him and Dre was still at odds, so I was like, if you can get Dre to do it, I'm ready." In the same interview, Dr. Dre added, "We would probably be working together right now. We would probably be arguing about the work as we did back in the past. It's like every project, we had some little argument about what the project should be creatively, and I would say we would probably still be doing that, but at the same time, getting the work done and probably doing something amazing." Just a month after his diagnosis, 31-year-old Eazy-E died from AIDS-induced pneumonia on the 26th of March, 1995. During this period, there were still many question marks about AIDS. The disease was not fully understood, and this consequently led to a lot of stigma around it. AIDS stigma was displayed in that period in a variety of ways, including ostracism, rejection, discrimination, avoidance of HIV-infected people, and violence against HIV-infected individuals or people who are perceived to be infected with HIV. It was also erroneously expressed in conjunction with one or more other stigmas, particularly those associated with homosexuality, bisexuality, promiscuity, prostitution, and intravenous drug use. One of the first high-profile cases of AIDS was the American gay actor Rock Hudson. Hudson was Hollywood's ultimate leading man throughout the 1950s and 60s, having on-screen affairs with the industry's most beloved actresses. On-screen, such as Doris Day, Julie Andrews, and longtime friend Elizabeth Taylor. He had been diagnosed in 1984, announced that he had had the virus on July 25th, and died a few months later on October 2nd. Hudson was the first major Hollywood star to die of the illness, and it caused a mini panic in Hollywood. Another high-profile AIDS case was that of Freddie Mercury, the frontman for the widely successful British rock band Queen. Freddie was widely known to be bisexual to many in the music industry. On November 24th, 1991, the British rock star died from an AIDS-related illness, having revealed the diagnosis only on the previous day. Now back to Eazy-E. Reports stated that he contracted the deadly disease through sexual intercourse, and this is what is widely believed. Just like any other gangster rapper of the time, Eazy-E was a man of vices and excesses with a carefree attitude about money, sex, and violence. He had led a promiscuous lifestyle, fathering 7 children with 6 different women. But Suge Knight's interview with Jimmy Kimmel makes us more cautious about this popular belief that Eazy-E got infected via intercourse. In the 2021 documentary by his daughter Evie, The Mysterious Death of Eazy-E, she aimed to find an answer to the looming question: how did Eazy-E actually die? Over the years, conspiracy theorists have suggested he was injected with HIV/AIDS, didn't have the disease at all, or was killed in some other nefarious way. These are some of the facts presented in the documentary. First, this was when Evie's mother, Tracy Jernigan, said she never believed he died from AIDS, explaining, "Something just did not seem right. He died unusually fast. He did not lose weight. He was not a drug abuser. It's like one day he's fun, the next day he's dying." This is also a sentiment shared by popular rap pioneer Frost, talking about how the disease couldn't just have occurred over a couple of days. The rapper believes that there was some sort of conspiracy and that Eazy-E contracted AIDS after someone purposely gave him acupuncture needles tainted with the virus. He said the following: "How else can somebody die that fast from AIDS? Have you ever heard of somebody dying in 2 weeks of AIDS, bro?" Another thing that sticks out is the seemingly short window period between when he was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Hospital and when his daughter was born. It was just a 9-month interval between these two events, and it seemed very odd that his wife as well as his newborn infant both tested negative during the time he was HIV positive. This could have very much just been luck, but if Eazy-E could have contracted the disease through nefarious means, as Suge Knight stated, it would be a more convincing argument than just luck. Conspiracy aside, Eazy-E had much love for his fans, and he knew he wouldn't have become a megastar without them. In a heartfelt letter addressed to his fans, he said, "Now, I'm in the biggest fight of my life, and it ain't easy, but I want to say much love to those who have been down with me, and thanks for all your support. Just remember, it's your real time and your real life." Ruthless Records versus Death Row Records.
Suge tried to destroy my record company with the help of others, Dre. So right now we're getting everything back together and we finna come out, fully loaded.
Beefs are a staple in the rap game. Rappers beef with one another, and record labels go against one another. There's always a need to stay ahead of the competition and the ops. Before the era of gangster rap, beefs went as far as battle raps, friendly dissing, and trash talking, but there was never any serious threat to the rappers themselves. But as things started to evolve, and different gangs got involved, with money and contracts becoming more of a factor, things changed. Let's begin at the start of the gangster rap genre. Ruthless Records is an American independent record label founded by Eric Wright, professionally known as Eazy-E, and Jerry Heller in Compton, California in 1987. Ruthless Records was where multiple talents were born such as NWA, the DOC, and Bone Thugs and Harmony. The most popular of these acts was NWA. They were among the earliest and most significant pioneers and controversial figures of the gangster rap subgenre. The original lineup, formed in early 1987, made up of Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Arabian Prince, and Ice Cube, with DJ Yella and MC Ren joining later that year. In the beginning, everything went well with the supergroup. They were a cohesive and well-oiled rap machine. Everybody had their part to play, and they played their roles perfectly well all the way to unexpected success. Dr. Dre produced most of all the actual tracks, DJ Yella did spins and scratches, and Ice Cube was the chief penman in the group, as he wrote for various members in the group, including some of Dre's and nearly all of Eazy's lyrics on NWA's official debut album, Straight Outta Compton. MC Ren gave the group the straight street sense, and the very popular Eazy-E, who helped to establish a special relationship with the headman Jerry at Ruthless Records. Although Eazy-E helped to push the group to get to where they could succeed, once they become megastars, several members of the group felt like they weren't getting fairly compensated financially. Ice Cube was one of the first to realize he wasn't receiving proper royalties for his line of work. Even worse, as he is the one who did a bulk of the writing in the worldwide hit album, Straight Outta Compton. In the same vein, he also noticed the financial success that Eazy-E and Jerry were receiving wasn't adding up with respect to the other members of the group. Their cash flow was reasonably more than the others, and so Ice Cube decided to walk. It took some time for the other members to realize money wasn't coming into their pockets properly, but once they did, they also departed as well. The most notable being that of Dr. Dre and fellow Ruthless Record MC, DOC. Though NWA was highly successful, Dr. Dre was advised by the Doc and the rapper's friend Suge Knight that he should leave the label to avoid any possible financial meddling by Jerry Heller, offering to extricate Dre from his Ruthless contract. In an interview, Tracy Curry, better known as the Doc, revealed his thought process and how he got Dr. Dre to exit Ruthless Records and join Death Row Records. Me and Suge were talking, and we knew we needed Dre to make this thing work. We had already went through my little contract, Suge and I and other lawyers, and found out that I was not fairly being compensated. With that information, I went to Dre and I started having conversations with him about him and I doing our own thing. If Eazy's me, then he's probably doing it to you too. DOC then went ahead to note that the breakup of NWA could have easily been avoided, but Eazy-E decided to take the high road. Let's check out his remaining comments. I just got those kinds of dialogue started. When we looked into Dre, sure enough, his was kind of flimsy too. Now what Eazy did at that point, he should have said, okay Dre, this what we need to do is get in this and start it over and make it up so we're all happy and we all breaking bread. But no, what Eazy did was the classic thing. He said, hey, this is my and I don't give a It's gonna go like it's gonna go. But what that did was separate Eazy-E and Dre. Now the Doc was not a minor player in Ruthless Records. He was heavily involved in the creative process. He contributed lyrics to NWA's debut studio album Straight Outta Compton and performed the opening verse on Parental Discretion Is Advised. The Doc also wrote for Eazy-E's debut studio album Eazy Does It. He continued in the interview about how the seed of discord had been planted in the mind of Dr. Dre. Now that's really all that Suge and me needed to get Dre to come on in where we at, because Dre knew that a lot of that creative came out of me. He knew that he's not going to be able to sit in the studio with Eric and come up with this. So he comes over here and we get the idea that we're going to start our own label. We're going to split the 50-50. And Suge is going to help us administrate and do business. That's where all of that started from. Eventually, Suge Knight succeeded in procuring Dre, the Doc, and Michelle Lay's contracts from Ruthless Records through reportedly illicit means, with some saying that Suge Knight threatened Eazy and Jerry with physical violence. Some say it was threats to Eazy-E's mother in particular that got them to sign the deal. And in 1992, Death Row Records was co-founded by Dr. Dre, the Doc, Suge Knight, and music exec Dick Griffey. This furthered the ongoing tension after Dre had left the group, as he was still contractually obligated to Ruthless Records. According to an interview by Jerry Heller, he claimed that Eazy-E wanted to clip Suge Knight to get rid of his problematic behavior, and that he had to calm Eazy down and stop him from going through with it. It was from this moment that Eazy-E and Suge Knight would hate each other's guts. Since the group was now officially broken up, the issues here would boil down to Ruthless Records versus Death Row Records, with Eazy-E and Dr. Dre with Suge Knight at the forefront.
Some people call him the godfather of gangster rap. Please welcome Compton's own Eazy-E.
Let's talk about the new crew on the block, Death Row Records. The Death Row crew was largely young, hungry, and gang-affiliated. Aside from the co-founders, Snoop Dogg was from Long Beach, along with his cousin Daz and Nate Dogg. Alongside the local talent, they signed Kurupt, a transplant from Philly, who was living in South Central, and the Lady of Rage from Virginia. Over time, they became a gangsta rap music powerhouse, with an all-star roster. The first record Death Row worked on was the Deep Cover soundtrack, which saw Dre and Snoop have their first hit together. Eazy, on the other hand, was busy reassembling with Half Brothers BG Knockout and Dre Star from Compton, Mexican rapper Frost from East LA, Bone Thugs and Harmony from Cleveland, Death Row defector producer Rhythm D, and the Atpin Clan. Ruthless also had veterans MC Ren, Above the Law, and Cocaine coming off of the track. Deep Cover, Death Row Records drew first blood in this beef. Dr. Dre dropped his first album, The Chronic, accompanied by his young protege from Long Beach named Snoop Doggy Dogg. He felt he had to set the record straight and needed to address his Ruthless Records situation on sound. Dre's second single, titled Dre Day, was directed straight toward Ruthless Records, Eazy-E, and Jerry Heller, both the track and the music video. The video for the track had actors playing the part of Eazy-E and Jerry Heller. On the track, Dr. Dre spits the following lines: "Oh, don't think I forgot, let you slide, let me ride, just another homicide. Yeah, it's me, so I'ma talk on stomping on the easiest streets that you can't walk on." In the video for the track, AJ Johnson, a very talented comedian, played Eazy-E, and the video portrayed Ruthless Records as a joke. Death Row Records received recognition and were a record label on the rise. Eazy-E and Ruthless looked like the bad guys at the time, and the beef became heated. Members from both labels had several confrontations with each other, but things never really escalated. Both sides claimed they were going to escalate, but it never became anything more than a label beef. Eazy-E and Ruthless Records were hesitant about beefing with Death Row due to Death Row's perceived street reputation. In a Pitchfork interview, Cocaine revealed Eazy-E's reaction to Dre Day. He revealed the following: Eazy wasn't just upset, he was hurt. It was Eazy's vision for NWA. He recruited Dre and Cube and helped make them stars. Then they made up fake stories about him and abandoned him. Now it was time for the godfather of gangster rap to clap back. In 1993, Eazy responded by throwing a diss at Dre in the title of his album, It's On, Dr. Dre, 187 Yum Killer, with Eazy pouring a 40 on the cover. Beyond using Dre's name, he also crossed out Dre's name, which is one of the ultimate forms of disrespect in the gang or graffiti culture. Eazy brought out BG Knockout and Dre Star on Real G's to respond to Dre Day. In the video, Eazy, Knock, and Dre Star confront and chase the imposter Eazy, as you saw in Dre Day's video. In the end, the imposter Eazy is face down in the street. Eazy went in on Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg with the following bars: "The same records that you making is paying me, Dre, Snoop, Death Row Yo, and here comes my left blow. It was on this track he dropped one of the most iconic rap lines ever. He said, "Damn E, they tried to fade you on Dre Day, but Dre Day only meant Eazy's payday." This line references the fact that part of Dr. Dre's sales was going to Eazy-E because of the contractual obligations from Dr. Dre being on Ruthless Records previously. Definitely this was one of the things that irked Suge Knight and made him angry with Eazy-E. With all the hard work Suge was putting into Dr. Dre and his album, a chunk of the profits were still going to his rival Eazy-E. Now the next lines were aimed directly at Snoop Dogg. "You're like a kid, you found a pup and now you're dapper, but tell me where the you found an anorexic rapper." This was one of the first original beefs that triggered more beefs to occur down the line in the rap scene. The beef between the two labels lasted for a few years, all the way until Eazy-E passed away. While Eazy was sick before he passed, Dre and other members of NWA were posted by his deathbed to pay their homage and clear up bad blood between them. After Eazy passed, others on Ruthless Records and Death Row would still have tension for a little while. Sinees to the labels like Bone Thugs, In Harmony, and BG Knockout and Dresta would send shots toward members of Death Row like Kurupt and Daz from the Dog Pound. Did Suge Knight destroy rap? Marion Hugh Knight Jr., better known as Suge Knight, is a former American record executive and the co-founder and former CEO of Death Row Records. Knight was a key figure and a major pioneer in the commercial success of gangsta rap in the 1990s. During his prime, he was a very notorious figure in the rap game. He had everyone in the hood as well as record labels terrified of him, and people knew better than to cross his path. He employed strong-arm tactics such as displaying weapons and threatening with violence to negotiate his way to the top. His unprecedented success in the 90s was largely attributed to the record label's first two album releases, Dr. Dre's The Chronic in 1992 and Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style in 1993. But even after contributing so much to the rap scene, it is often noted that he single-handedly destroyed rap. Let me explain. Suge Knight happens to be a key character in the deaths of the three most widely acclaimed MCs of all time, Tupac Shakur, Biggie Smalls, and Eazy-E. Now back in 1995, Tupac Shakur began serving a prison sentence of up to 4.5 years on sexual abuse charges at Rikers Island, before being transferred to Clinton Correctional Facility in March. And on October 12th, he bonded out of the maximum security Clinton Correctional Facility in the process of appealing his conviction. Once Suge Knight, CEO of Death Row Records, arranged for the posting of his $1.4 million bond. He got signed to Death Row Records, and the next year, the label released Shakur's greatest commercial success, All Eyes on Me. The album was rap's first double album, meeting 2 of the 3 albums due in Shakur's contract with Death Row. The album showcases Shakur rapping about the gangsta lifestyle, leaving behind his previous political messages. In the September of that same year, Tupac's life would be unfortunately cut short. On the 7th of September 1996, Tupac Shakur attended the Bruce Seldon vs. Mike Tyson boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. After departing the venue, one of Knight's associates, Lane, a member of the M.Alby gang based in Compton, California, spotted a member of the rival Southside Compton Crips gang called Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand lobby. A few months prior to that incident, in July 1996, Orlando Anderson and a group of Southside Crips tried to rob Lane at the mall in Lakewood, California. Lane informed Shakur of this previous incident, who then attacked Anderson in the lobby. Shakur asked Anderson if he was from the South and punched him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Shakur and Knight's entourage assisted in beating up Anderson, with the fight being captured on the MGM Grand's video surveillance. After the beatdown, Shakur returned to his hotel, the Luxor Las Vegas. Shakur left with Knight in a black BMW 750 IL sedan after changing clothes and went to Club 662, which was owned by Knight, to perform at a charity concert. At 11:15 p.m., a white 4-door late model Cadillac pulled up to Knight's right side. The shooter, seated at the back of the Cadillac, rolled down the window and rapidly fired gunshots at Shakur's BMW. Shakur was hit 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, and once in the thigh. One of the bullets also went straight into Shakur's right lung. He died 6 days later on September 13th. Former Death Row artists, such as Snoop Dogg, later accused Suge Knight of being a part of Tupac's murder. Former detective Russell Poole theorized that Knight had Tupac killed before he could part ways with Knight's label, and then conspired to kill Biggie to divert attention from himself in the Tupac case. 6 months after Tupac died, 24-year-old Christopher Wallace, popularly known as Notorious Big, was assassinated in a drive-by shooting in the early hours of March 9, 1997, in Los Angeles, California. A month before his death, Christopher Wallace traveled to Los Angeles to promote his upcoming second studio album, Life After Death, and to film a music video for its lead single, Hypnotize. He gave a radio interview in which he stated that he had hired security because he was scared for his own safety. Biggie mentioned that the reasons for the decision were not only the ongoing East Coast and West Coast hip-hop feud and the murder of Tupac Shakur 6 months prior, but that security was simply necessary for high-profile celebrity figures in general. On the evening of March 8, Biggie and the Bad Boy Records entourage attended an after-party hosted by Vibe magazine. More than 1,000 people were at the party, including members of the Blood and Crips gang. That same night, at about 12:30 a.m., Biggie Smalls left the party with his entourage in 2 Chevrolet Suburbans to attend an after-party at Steve in the Hollywood Hills. Prior to leaving, the Los Angeles Fire Department closed the party early because of smoking, loud music, and overcrowding. Wallace was in the front passenger seat in one vehicle, while Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, traveled in the other vehicle. The 2 SUVs were trailed by a Chevrolet Blazer carrying Bad Boy Records Director of Security, Paul Alford. By 12:45 a.m., the streets were crowded with people leaving the museum. Biggie Smalls' SUV stopped at a red light on the corner, and 2 minutes later, a dark-colored Chevrolet Impala SS pulled up alongside Biggie. The driver of the Impala rolled down his window, drew a 9mm blue steel pistol, and fired at the vehicle. 4 bullets reportedly hit Biggie. The first bullet hit his left forearm and traveled down to his wrist. The second hit him in the back, missing all vital organs, and exited through his left shoulder, and the third hit his left thigh and exited through his inner thigh. He was immediately rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where doctors performed an emergency thoracotomy, but he was pronounced dead at 1:15 a.m. Immediately after the shooting, reports surfaced connecting Biggie's murder with that of Tupac 6 months earlier, due to similitude in the drive-by shootings and the highly publicized East Coast and West Coast hip-hop rivalry, of which Tupac and Biggie had been key and central figures. The name that was in everyone's mouth concerning the murders was Suge Knight. In a 2002 book by American journalist Randall Sullivan called Labyrinth, information was put together about the murders of Biggie and Tupac based on information provided by retired LAPD detective Russell Poole. In the book, Sullivan accused Suge Knight, a known Bloods affiliate, of conspiring with corrupt Los Angeles Police Department officer David Mack to kill Biggie and make both deaths appear to be the result of the rap rivalry. This murder theory implicated Suge Knight, a rogue cop, and a mortgage broker named Amir Muhammad, along with the chief of police and the LAPD, in a conspiracy to murder and cover up the murder of Biggie. This theory formed the basis of a $500 million lawsuit by his family, the Wallaces, against the city of Los Angeles. A crucial source for this theory was Kevin Hackey. Hackey was a former death row associate, and he had implicated Suge Knight and LAPD officer David Mack. Hackey said that he had knowledge of involvement between Knight and Mack and other LAPD officers. His information was used by the family of Biggie Smalls in their suit against the city of LA for Biggie's death. The suit brought by the Wallace family against the city of LA, based on the Russell Poole theory, was eventually dismissed in 2010. In 2005, Chuck Phillips of the Los Angeles Times reported that another source for the theory of Biggie's murder implicating Muhammad, Mack, Suge Knight, and the LAPD was a schizophrenic man known as Psycho Mike, who later confessed to hearsay and memory lapses and falsely identifying Muhammad. The death of these 2 hip-hop giants in their prime was mourned by fellow hip-hop artists and fans worldwide. Rapper Nas felt at the time that Biggie's death, along with that of Tupac Shakur, was nearly the end of rap. Besides being involved in the deaths of these 2 greats, Suge was also seemingly involved in the death of Eazy-E about a year prior in 1995. Though never charged by any prosecutor for any involvement, Suge Knight remains the common denominator of theories in popular culture about the murder of these 3 well-known rap artists to date. The family of Eazy-E is still fighting for justice on behalf of the godfather of gangster rap himself. Eazy-E's oldest son, who goes by Young Eazy, stated that he believes that there was foul play involved in the death of his father. His daughter, E.B. Wright, also suspects nefarious motives regarding the death of her father. She started a fund campaign to investigate her father's death, but it ended unsuccessfully in 2016. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.